Start streaming. Let's see what we get. Trying this again from our failure the other day. See if we get anything.
Checking connection.
Our mic's here. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is probably gonna be out, so I have to go off of this. Is that going off the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are going off the Wi-Fi, and this is pulling. That's the problem right now.
This is working or no?
Let me see if I can go off. Let me just get my internet going. It probably is working.
Let me disconnect from the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that would be the key if you could. This wants to work. This is crazy. We're in such a black hole. I'm using the Ethernet, but it kills the Wi-Fi. I really need both. Let's see, what does it look like?
Ethernet, but it's killing the Wi-Fi.
So I'm doing a hard wire.
Oh, that's what you got.
Yeah, but I'm up right now. I think it looks pretty good, actually. Yeah, I'm online. Anybody out there listening? I'm just gonna have to use this to do it because I can't use the Wi-Fi.
Oh, I'm live now.
There you go. And you're going off your phone?
Yeah, it's just off the data.
All right. Let's see if it'll work that way.
Oh,
cool.
We're
Both
live.
If you are watching, we're gonna do some Q&A. If you're on YouTube, might be easier to go on Instagram, because right now I'm not gonna be able to get my chat on YouTube. Maybe if I pop over here, it'll give it to me. Let me see. Maybe I can. I can do it this way. So if you guys were looking, if y'all have any more questions, we tried to do this the other day, but internet died on us. So a lot of people got cut off. We just thought we'd jump back on. You got any questions? There, John. I'm with John Madden with Yugo Pro Baseball.
Here at Top Velocity, Louisiana.
And we've been shooting a lot of videos. So y'all going to see a lot of cool videos with us, covering more. I've been, everybody knows I have position player programs. I have a hitting program now, so I wanted to cover some of that so you guys can learn more about those programs. So pretty excited that that's going out. But right now, if y'all have any questions or anything, we are excited to take your questions. All right, look, I got it up here. Pretty excited that that's going out. And look, it's working now. Right now, if y'all have any questions or anything, look at this. We are excited to take your questions. No stuttering, nothing.
It's like we know what we're doing.
Finally, got something working here.
Look, it's working now. Right now, if y'all have any questions or anything.
All right, so I'm going to try to keep this on the side.
I got to ask you something. Why are the A2000s leather so hard? We were just talking about that. I've got my glove over here. The Rawlings Gold glove. And this thing is so stiff. I haven't broken it in yet, but it's so hard. I think the higher quality leather that you get, the stiffer they are, the harder they are, so the longer it takes to break in. So, this is a premium quality glove. I think this glove is like over $500 if you were to buy it. But yeah, the quality of the leather, I think, is what makes it hard. I'm not quite sure.
What was this question? Particular? What do you ask?
Why is the A2000's leather so hard?
Well, when we used to get gloves when I was a kid, like how do you say these? I never say these right. The Nakoma. Some of these, I feel like the leather's heavier, which I like, but I think the harder leather keeps the glove more conformed, because if the leather is not that hard, you've seen it, your gloves break down and then they turn into rags.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why I think the cheaper gloves are already pretty soft. The harder gloves keep the conformity there. It's just probably better. It's a glove that's going to stay in its shape longer, which potentially you'd probably find it.
If you take care of it, you got to take care of your glove, man. Take care of your gloves. Wilson or Rawlings? I'm a Rawlings guy, but
I don't really have particularity. Best way to improve arm speed. How do you go at that? I always, I always fight the. Is it arm speed, or is it ball? I mean, is it the arm speed creating the ball speed?
I
So
mean, it's arm speed, which creates ball speed, but it's before that, it's
body
hip
speed
speed, and
or
then
kinetic
it's
speed.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
it all starts from the ground. It all starts from the beginning. How you're creating your energy from the ground and transferring
Look,
it.
I do it this way. I'm like, look, I can throw a ball actually without my arm. Watch. I just threw that ball without my arm.
All because he was creating energy from the ground.
Right, and then I can put my arm in it. So how do you? So that's the point. Is like we got to do them both together. You want to use the body to create as much energy as you can, and then you can bring in the arm at the end. And what it does is it changes the arm. The arm becomes a force regulator, not just a force generator. So the arm goes, hey, there's not a lot of force coming up, so I'm going to add to it. Or it goes, hey, there's a good amount of force coming to it. I don't need to really add so much more. I'm just going to kind of guide the pitch at that point. So that's the way I look at it.
What is the easiest way to get into or start an arm care routine if you aren't already doing one? You just got to commit. First of all, you got to find one and then commit to it.
And I always say, like with arm care, I feel like just like we're talking about with the kinetic chain. It's like it should be hip care, should be core care, should be leg care.
In this day and age, there's not a lack of information out there.
Yeah,
It's your willingness to put the work in towards what you want to do. We were talking about earlier, knowing where you are and versus where you want to be, and understanding that gap and what you're going to do to close that gap to get to where you want to be. Now, obviously, a great arm care, great pitching program is part of that. Brent has a great pitching program. I have a pitching program. There's thousands of guys that have pitching programs out there. It's a matter of diving in there and putting the work in and day out and making your goals a reality.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think arm care is very conventional, meaning it's pretty common. Everybody's doing it. And when I hear, do I have what's a good arm care program? I hear, hey, what's the least I can do to stay healthy or to perform? That's what I'm hearing, as opposed to, hey, how do I get better? Or what kind of training would be best for me to, get to the next level? Then we're talking, right? Because it's a lot more than arm care. What else we got? We always have good questions coming in.
What
It's
do you
pretty exciting.
think should be the max pitches a 9-year-old should throw in a 2-day tournament? That's a great question. The answer you can find on pitchsmart.org. You look it up. You look under 9-year-olds. They'll tell you exactly how many pitches you should throw and how many days rest that you need in between. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I am a certified PitchSmart pitching trainer.
You are?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
You can go on the site and take a little test, and they print you out a receipt, print you out a certificate. So I am certified, but I don't know the answer off the top of my head. But you can go to pitchsmart.org and look it up. Just look under 9-year-olds, and it'll tell you everything that you need to know. And I defer to those guys because those guys are way smarter than me. Some of the best doctors in the game.
Now my stream is stuttering again. I can't win. It's literally showing 1 frame per second, as small as it could, and it's stuttering. I don't get it.
No, Tony Harper, he's not
in.
wearing a Georgia Bulldog t-shirt. We in Louisiana.
I'm doing the 2X lifting right now. Awesome, Zach. Let me know how it is, how that's working with the drills and everything. Let's see, John, I'm a lefty trying to learn your sinker. Any tips?
Yeah, it's
I'll do it for you.
same for a lefty as a righty. You just got to turn it around the other way. So I'll show you as a righty, but just turn it around the other way. The grip for me is pointer finger on this, and this actually might be perfect. I'm assuming it turns it around for you. It's like a mirror image. So your pointer finger right here on this lace, middle finger. I'm hooking this side of the ball, even though it looks like my finger's on this lace. I'm not. I'm putting it together. I just got fat fingers. And then my thumb is right underneath my pointer finger right here. And then all I'm trying to do when I throw this ball is I'm just trying to. I was a little bit lower arm slot, so I just try to come straight over top right here with that as I got to release. So instead of being here and on top of the ball, I was a little bit lower. So I was here, and then I would just rip right across the top.
But even from a sidearm slot, you're still trying to keep the pressure, like they say, on top of the ball. Like you're trying to, because if it starts to slip under, the break on your ball just starts to die.
Yeah, and the velocity comes off, and your arm starts to hurt.
Yeah, hurt.
And so I was very big on getting on top of that ball and pronating over the ball, and that really helped me. It felt great. Like my arm felt great for a long time. So depth is what you're trying to find when you're throwing the sinker. Late downward movement.
How to maintain my throwing wrist stiff. How to maintain my throwing wrist stiff. Does that make sense? Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, this guy said, "Y'all are trash at baseball."
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
it. What kind of guy's hanging out on your profile, dude? Dude, what's this riffraff on your profile over here?
All kinds of characters out there.
Good stuff. Thanks. Look, my guy says good stuff. Thanks.
Oh, sorry.
Fire baseballs. I got quality guys at
kinds-
Top V.
I got
some guys.
I got all kinds of troll. I got all kinds of trolls out here. What kind of things could young kids in the Northeast do to work on pitching, especially if you have limited space?
I like my program because, I mean, we're in like 45 feet throws a lot, and then 60 feet ideally, but we don't need a lot of space because a lot of it's drill based. So it's kind of like hitters working on tees. We're in drills just working on biomechanics. Like we're working on movements to release or to the pitch. So we don't really need a lot of space. We just need the weight room, and then we need about 45 feet, at least 45 feet.
And don't let that be an excuse, like having limited space. There's a lot of excuses out there that can stop you from getting in the work that you need to put in. But don't let that be an excuse. I remember one year getting ready for pro baseball. I didn't have anyone. I moved out in the middle of the country, no one to throw with. So what I did was I built a mound. It was a crappy mound, but I built a mound, and I built a piece of plywood. I didn't build a piece of plywood. I threw a piece of plywood up and strapped some pillows to it, and I threw bullpens in my garage. The garage was on, two-car garage, so I wasn't throwing a full distance, but I had to get my throwing in somehow. So that's what I did. So don't let the lack of space be an excuse, or the weather to be an excuse. You just got to figure it out. Be a problem solver, figure it out, and get the work done.
How to start a preseason workout. I have 4 months before my season. I play independent ball in Mexico. How to start a preseason workout. So preseason to me should be about a month before your season. I think that's a good enough time, because the preseason to me is to put the volume of throwing on your arm. It's to get into your bullpens. So I don't think you need much more of a month to build your arm up for the amount of throws it's going to have to do in season. And also too, when you start building up all the throwing volume, it's going to have to change your lifting. And one thing with an off season, you feel like you don't get enough time in baseball. So we're trying to get as much off season as we can as far as the lifting behind it. So, like I said, I think you only need a month, and that's when I would start, a month before your first pitch.
Yeah, and you got to have the long-term mindset too. Like, I get a lot of questions and comments about, my arm's hurting, and this is like they go into the season and they throw 6 innings the first game, and they haven't done anything before that. So yeah, a month is a good amount of time to start working on. But you think longer term than that. Like, you want to be thinking about, once you get done with this season, start thinking about and planning for next season, and just reverse engineer that, and make sure you give yourself enough time to get ready in the gym and with your throws and everything, because that's where you're going to see the success is in the off season.
Sebastian, you gonna come say hey?
Yeah, where's the live man at?
Yeah, he likes to get in on this. Get his questions in. Watch, he'll get a lot of questions. Any questions for Sebastian, guys? He's here.
How you guys doing?
Any questions?
How to develop fast twitch muscles?
Oh man, there are a whole bunch of ways. That's what I'm working on.
No, you get the questions that are perfect for you.
Yeah. So big time with Olympic lifts, like cleans and stuff, power cleans, clean pulls, hang cleans, a lot of plyos as well, like jumps and box jumps and hurdles and like ladders.
What about basketball?
Basketball too. I've been taking a break from basketball. It's been getting a little over competitive, and I don't want to hurt my ankle or something.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
like Alex just did.
Yeah, Alec, and who's the short guy who goes to Delgado? His hand's all torn off. Nick's hand is
What
all
did he do?
torn off.
Fall?
Yeah, he drove in the rocks, kind of killed him.
Says Top V and Yugo Pro, the two best. Thanks.
What's
That's
up,
Alex.
NorCal?
That's Alex in NorCal. Sometimes my drive leg knee starts hurting during pitching. How much torque should I be holding in torsion? You know, we got a guy here who he started to have knee problems because when he goes to drive, he drives early and it put him in that valgus position where you're going to hurt yourself. So your drive knee shouldn't be hurting unless you're slamming it into that position. Like that's why you want to make sure you're staying in some external rotation, and then when you go to drive, it's spinning in rotation, internal rotation. If you're driving without rotation and you're doing this, you're gonna have knee pain. So we need to hold torsion and then unload torsion as we drive. As long as we're getting the rotation, we shouldn't be really slamming the knee into that what's called that valgus position. So you just need to work on your rotational movements of your femur.
I think a key
What's
to
up?
that too is hip
What's
mobility.
up, Matt?
Because if you don't have good hip mobility, you're not going to be able to get
Holding those
into
positions.
that position well, and that knee could start to hurt you.
Any questions for Sebastian here? We don't have much longer. Come on.
I could do magic.
See you
tricks.
in Nashville, Coach Tuck. Definitely, yes, sir. We're looking forward to it. What'd you say?
I could do magic tricks. I could do
Can you
cartwheels.
drop- Oh, yeah, no. Go get the ball. Show me how many balls he can. Watch how many balls this guy can hold. Watch how many balls he can hold. It's pretty impressive. All right. Plus 9 miles per hour run and gun velo versus mount. How to fix that? Well, here's the problem. That's why I'm not a big fan of running guns, is because it's like an outfielder who throws 95 from the outfield and throws 82 on a mound. And that you'll see a lot of that because when I'm in a running throw, the momentum I'm creating while I'm running, when I'm on a mound, I don't have that momentum. So how do I create that momentum? So if you don't know how to create that momentum, you're going to be it's a problem, because in a running gun, when I run and I plant my back foot, I'm actually trying to decelerate my body a little bit to control the momentum. But when I'm on a mound and I'm in my back leg, I'm actually trying to accelerate my body because I have no momentum. So unfortunately, like every time I've looked at them both, that's why I don't like the running guns, is because your drive leg actually is slowing you down in a running gun, and it has to speed you up when you're throwing on the mound. So you're actually teaching your drive leg backwards in a running gun. So, and if you don't understand that, you don't get on the mound and you don't know how to use your drive leg to accelerate your movement, you're going to be that guy who's 10, 15 miles an hour slower on the mound as opposed to in the outfield or in the running gun.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to get better at pitching, you got to work on your
Hey, they're
delivery on the
stealing my
pitcher
mound.
mound.
They're stealing my mound, bro. Dude, there's shenanigans all over around here.
What we got here?
Is Sebastian throwing 90 yet?
Yeah, tell him I'm throwing 100.
Throwing 100. Oh, Matt just asked that. Throwing 100. He's throwing 100. And he can hold 100 balls at one time.
It's a little cold. My fingers are.
It's not working? Dang it.
I almost have it right now. Oh.
Oh, here, here's one for you.
This guy's stealing my plates right here. Look at this.
Thoughts
He's stealing my
on
farmer's
using
bar.
weighted baseballs,
He's taking everything out of here.
and if they overall help or hinder your ability. Weighted baseballs help or hinder your ability.
So weighted baseballs for the purpose of trying to force your arm to break down and get stronger. I'm going to say hurting your ability. Weighted baseballs for biomechanical purpose to teach a biomechanical movement. I say it can help your mobility.
7.
But the problem is when you use the weighted baseballs to break your arm down. That's a problem. Specifically if you have bad mechanics when you're doing that. Look at this. This is on a cold day too.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
This is
that
on a
good.
cold day. Yeah, it was really warm the other day when you hit them all.
Yeah, my fingers are like numb a little bit.
Dude, look at come on.
Come on, don't
Spit on it. That's why it's dry. You got to spit on it. There you go.
Show it to that camera.
The big one.
Dude, that's pretty impressive. I can't get 4. How many can you do?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's because your hands are so dry because it's cold. When it's wet, man, it's pretty easy for them.
Yeah, just now it's kind of hard.
It's not gonna work. Huh?
No, not
Spit.
today. I'll just go pee on my hands real quick. I'll be back.
Okay.
Little pine
I can do it like that right
Yeah,
now.
there you go.
There you go.
I'm not gonna
Turn it
flip it
over.
upside down though, because it's gonna fall apart.
Oh, well, there's a video. There's a picture on my Instagram. No, that I don't think I put it on.
I took a screenshot of it though. You can post it if
Okay,
you
actually, I
want.
think I put it on TikTok for you.
Oh, you did? Am I famous yet?
You're on, not yet. We're getting there. How many run and guns with the 10-ounce ball will break my arm? That's Matt. It's not far from the truth. Where my boy JT? I don't know. How to strengthen the upper back? Problems to decelerate the arm. You take it.
Obviously, you got to do stuff in the gym. I like bands. Bands are good. You got to keep your mobility as well. If you're working on your arm deceleration, you want to make sure you have good range of motion so that you are moving in the correct patterns. And then make sure you're consistent with your work and your workload so that you're getting it in and you're not losing stability in those muscles. And it's just not the back. You have to focus on, the back is connected to everything. And so if you got tight hamstrings, it could affect your back and vice versa.
Yeah,
So
or tight lats.
yeah, so it's all tied together.
And the thing is too, the distraction forces in high velocity pitchers has been up to 140% of your body weight. So is it just, what are you using? Just light weight or like tubing to strengthen your back? Is that going to be enough to you to catch, say, 200 pounds of force going forward or more? So it's how, like, the kind of loading you're doing. That's when you get one with the strength coach, because what's going to be better? Like lightweight, high reps, heavyweight, low reps. Like, what's going to be better in building your upper back?
How can you tell if you have a shoulder impingement?
So
for
you-
me,
Yeah.
I
It
knew
hurts.
right away. Yeah,
It
it was like,
hurts.
ow, that hurts.
That hurts.
Yeah, and for me, it was any type of upward movement or outward movement.
Yeah.
And that's where I felt it.
So basically, the acromion of the tip of the shoulder, when you're lifting your arm up, it's not moving. So basically, your humerus which is the upper bone in your arm, it's only built to go to about right there, right? That's about as far as it's built to go. The reason it goes up is because your whole shoulder capsule lifts up. So once I went above this position, my scaps shifted up. So my scaps didn't do anything until about here, and then my whole scapular shoulder girdle went up. So, and if guys have impingements, they get to here. Same Orlando, it's the same person calling. They couldn't get you, so they called me.
I must owe him money. We're like, he's with Brent. Let's call Brent.
All right, so we go to here, and then if my shoulder or my scaps don't lift up, then the acromion just starts to dig into your shoulder, and then it creates this pain down the side of your arm. So if you have this pain down the side of your arm, and the same thing's happening when you go back, if that scap doesn't pull back, the same thing, you're going to feel it go down the side of your arm. So that's what an impingement is. It creates this uncomfortable pinching pain down the side of your arm.
What does it mean if the inside of your elbow hurts when throwing?
You're throwing weighted balls.
I had this in high school, where the inside of my elbow would get real swollen after I pitched, and it would hurt sometimes. I never, ended up having Tommy John. I got shut down for 4 to 6 weeks, and then did some rehab, and then it was fine ever since after that. But obviously something's going wrong. Either you're doing too much, or your mechanics are off, so you're putting too much stress on, or a combination of both, which is usually the case in the worst case scenario.
So here, the flexor mass lays down over the UCL, which is the ligaments that hold the humerus and the ulnar bone together. It pinches them together. So the muscle that lays over it is the first line of defense. It has to squeeze and create that compression. So the problem is when we throw, it stretches that back. So it's trying to pull that muscle and that ligament and that bone apart. So the more stress you put in that position, and the more it wears the flexor mass down, and the weaker it gets, the more it stresses the ligament underneath that, and then you start having the ligament starts straining, the ligament starts tearing. So usually, but first the forearm gets tight. So when your forearm gets really tight, that means it's fatigued, and now your ligaments can be more vulnerable to tear. And it's just because you're not handling all that stress well, and there's many ways to get out of that. You're probably throwing too much. Then the other one is you're not strong enough. You need to get stronger in that joint. And the other thing is mechanically you're putting too much stress on that joint when you throw. So if you work at it in those 3 ways, that's the best way to solve the problem.
Hey John, is your aunt really Barbara from Shark Tank? Yes, that's really my
Yeah,
aunt.
that is wild. That's your
That's
aunt,
crazy, right?
dude.
It really is. That's my mother's sister.
And she was like some like real estate guru, right?
Yeah, so she had $1,000 in her bank account and turned it into, I don't know, it's a lot of money. And
She doesn't tell you. Does she even invite you over?
yeah, oh no, she's really cool, man. She's a great aunt. She lives in New York still, so I don't see her as much. But actually, when I had my shoulder surgery, I was with the Mets, and I had the surgery in Manhattan, and she wasn't too far. And she came to the hospital. She knew everybody in the hospital.
What?
Yeah,
She's that big of a personality? Like people love her?
yeah, like
That's cool.
she was in the back. She was nobody was supposed to be in the back there, and she was in the back there. She brought me food and stayed over her house, and me and my wife went over there and stayed over the house. But yeah, she's great. She's really cool.
That's your mom's mom?
Yeah, it's my mom's,
mom's sister.
Yeah,
Mom's sister.
but they got a lot. My mother was one of 10.
What?
So yeah, there's a lot.
What?
But,
How many other celebrities in that family? Any other ones?
No more celebrities, but they're all pretty much self-employed. They're all entrepreneurs.
That's great.
So my mother is actually does real estate in Florida.
No way.
So, yeah, so if anyone needs a house in Florida, let me know.
Hey, I'll take one. Why are implementing hang press? We're implementing hang press. Is it okay to do them the day before or after a bullpen? So what do you mean by hang press? You got hang clean. I've never heard of a hang press. Maybe is it? I don't know. I'm assuming hang clean. Hang cleans can be used as PAP routines. They can be used to excite your motor units before you throw, but not doing a lot of it to exhaust you. And then they can be used, obviously, in your recovery training, like post-game or after throwing your bullpen to help you recover, because they'll stimulate all your healing responses to heal your body. So either use it right before you throw, short amount of reps, get your body excited, or right after you throw to recover.
Are you ever going to develop a Top Velocity physical program in Austin, Texas?
Yeah, we would love to. Nothing where we'll put a location there, but we'll definitely come out for a camp. Maybe John and I can come out and do a camp out there.
Let's do it.
That'd
I'm
be
down.
cool. I love Austin. Did you ever play in Austin?
I did not.
I played a lot of travel ball in Austin. It was fun. Great town.
Top exercise is to stretch the long head of the bicep.
What is it?
Top exercise is to stretch the long head of the bicep.
Okay, so you're obviously getting bicep tightness, similar to the flexor mass tightness. So if I'm getting tightness here, this is fatigue protecting the joint. If I'm getting bicep tightness here, it's protecting this joint as well, but it's more being worn out from deceleration. It slows your forearm down as you release the pitch. Here's the thing, like stretching, you got to be careful because you could start really irritating the tendons in there, and then it can lead to a lot of inflammation in the joint, and you start having joint pain, a lot of joint pain. So I would be careful on the stretching. Definitely like a lot of massage would work. I would get some deep tissue massage, some active release therapy, some dry needling, stuff like that. That would be the key than stretching. So if you're saying that for the purposes of it being sore and tight, I would go more into the massage and dry needling than the stretching. We're watching you live in class right now.
Oh man, you better not get detention.
I know, they're going to be like, they're going to ban us from your school. Be careful with that one.
Are you supposed to take a break from throwing? Yeah, I did. I like to, especially after a long season. I would take a break. I would take a break from everything. Me personally, I would shut it down for a good 3 weeks. Where I didn't do much, and then get back into it, get back into the gym, start lifting, and then get into the throwing and build it up slowly over time. And you got some different phases, right?
Yeah, so ASMI says you don't want to throw more than 8 months out of the year. You're 5 times more likely to have injury. So ideally, you want to get that good 4 to 5 months off season to where you're, but it's not so much not throwing. I mean, what we typically do with guys who throw a lot for the 8 months is they just do our med throws for a couple of months, and then they get back into the light throwing with what we call the target throws. But typically, if you're in drill-based throwing and you're working on, say, your lower half, it shouldn't be that stressful on your arm. So we call it low-stress throwing. I would just make sure maybe you do take a month off, but and you're doing other types of training like the med ball stuff and lifting. But when you get into throwing, you do low stress throwing.
Is it okay to lift weights the next day after pitching?
Yeah, I think it's great to lift weights. Sorry, mine got cut off. It's great to lift weights the next day. It helps stimulate a lot of your recovery responses, like your hormonal response to recovery. Specifically, if you lift your legs. I wouldn't want to be lifting too much of the arm. It's already pretty fatigued. So let's lift the legs more, the core. So if you hit your legs hard, you hit your core hard. I think that's actually going to help a lot of your recovery. That's what we do with the programming. A lot of post throwing lifting.
And you just got to understand your workload too in the season. Like your workload shouldn't be the same as your off season as it is during the season. Like you're not going in there and going ham in the gym after
Unless you're a monster.
Unless you just after you just pitched, right? You got to understand you're kind of tapering it down as the season goes along. So
hey, the goats, Francis. What's up, Francis? He calls us the goats of baseball right here.
What's
You
up?
Like that.
What's up?
Opinion on spine cars. I have to look that up. I don't know spine cars.
Me neither.
Fill us in.
What are spine cars?
Hello.
What can I do right now during basketball season? Play basketball. Be the best you can be at basketball. And then, if your baseball season's coming up quick around the corner, just make sure that you're getting your throwing in. Because that's what happened to me. I played basketball in high school as well. And every year I would get into baseball and then my arm would be sore because I wasn't doing enough throwing because I was in basketball season. So you got to make sure, even though you're doing basketball is great because it's going to help you be an explosive athlete, but you got to make sure you're getting your throwing in on the side so that you're ready to go when your season comes around.
With my program, I would want to make sure you're doing like my med ball routines during basketball, because that'll keep your legs and core primed through your delivery. You don't have to be doing the baseball stuff. And then just make sure you're lifting if you're not lifting with basketball.
Cars is a part of FRC training.
Cars is a part of FRC training. What's FRC training? Here's one on YouTube. Looks and sounds good. Someone said we looked and sounded good on YouTube. Thank God. I was worried about that. Any modification to the med ball drills for sidearm pitcher, or does throwing over the top with the med ball accomplish the same thing? So yeah, I like to take the mechanics and teach you over the top. Typically, higher velocities are in an over the top slot. Also, too, more arm injuries actually from a sidearm slot. But the thing is you don't have as many sidearmers out there, so you don't see it being as much of an issue. But it is. When they did the studies, there was more arm injury from the sidearm slot. So I like to teach you over the top because the biomechanics sequence up better. The linear aspects are more easily put in. And then we'll start to modify when you get close to preseason on how to drop your trunk. Now, your trunk's going to drop ideally after front foot strike. As you go to pitch release, I'm going to drop my trunk. I don't like sidearm pitchers that immediately drop their trunk and then they do all of their throwing from a ipsilateral position. I like it where they hold and then they hit and then they go to a sidearm slot. That's a better approach because you can be able to separate there more. You can be able to drive and power there more. What do you think? Because you're a sidearm guy.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to the med ball drills, I don't know. When I did my
like trunk orientation.
Yeah, for me, I was pretty straight sidearm, so I didn't get too much of a dive or a lean forward. I was pretty tall coming into it, and then I would just kind of sit back. I like to have a big chest. I always thought I have a big chest and really getting into that load. Yeah, and then as I got to it, I was just a little bit taller to get around.
You know, All-American at Auburn right here, like successful pitcher from the sidearm slot. That's the better approach. I don't like it when I see guys starting like this, and then they break their hands and they're down here, and they release the pitch and they run like 10 feet that way. You're not going to throw that hard from that position. So keeping your trunk up.
FRC is functional range conditioning.
You ever heard of functional range conditioning? I've never heard of it. I'd have to look in more to it, man. I'm gonna have to I'll do some research on it. I've never heard of it. Sounds like something new.
What can I do to become more explosive because my velocity does not want to increase, sadly? Get in the gym. Getting in the gym is the biggest thing to me. You know, when you get that strength and plyometrics in your body, you're going to feel a big difference.
And get down to the camp.
Yeah, come down to the camp here. Someone brought up Billy Wagner as a sidearm guy. So that's a sidearm guy who, pitched like an over the top guy, but he brought the arm out into release. Had a really thick trunk, so he got a little rotational with it, but also got very linear with it. So it's like, to me, I think he would be a great example. Billy Wagner would be a great example. Did you like him? Did you follow Billy Wagner?
Yeah, I did. Great pitcher. Definitely a great example of that. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that was like one of the first 100-mile-an-hour guys of our time, right? One of the first real 100-mile-an-hour closers.
And he wasn't even. He broke his arm, didn't he?
And then he switched to left.
That's crazy.
It's hard to believe.
That's so crazy.
He also was a football player, I think.
Wow.
He's a punter, I think. Do you guys have some contacts to play independent league? I don't really. I mean, I've kind of fallen out a little bit with coaches in it. Do you?
No, not really. I mean, like, if you're trying to get into independent league, the biggest thing is to, like, just focus on your skills. Like, if your skills are there, it's nothing to find the information of a team and send them a video or whatever. Like, if you have the ability to play, that is not an issue. The contact is not an issue, in today's world. It's a matter of getting your skills to the level where they need to be, to where they can't say no to you. So I would focus on getting
right. I mean, that's our approach here too. It's like, the best recruiting video that you could put together is you throwing 95.
Right. Well,
you dotting at 95.
And you were telling me a story last time I was here, like some guy did a jump or something, and he got recruited from the video.
No, so. He did a jump and he got traded the next day to another team in an affiliated baseball. I'm not going to say the teams, but he was on one team. He did a jump. The next day, they signed him on another team, and they called him up and they said, "Hey, we saw your box jump." It was crazy.
There you go. So linear drive towards the plate is a key pitching aspect. Yes, absolutely. You want to create the energy towards where you're going.
And it doesn't matter if you're not even pitching, if you're in the field too. Like, wherever you're throwing from, the more energy you create where you're going, the more energy you're going to have to put to the ball. Do you guys have... Okay. I'm going to ask my physics teacher how to throw harder. Okay? That'd be interesting. I'd like to hear what he says.
I go
All right, you going?
When were did you play with a guy, Jacob?
Jacob?
Yeah, at Auburn. He was catcher.
Must have been before or after me.
You're not going to be here this weekend?
I'll be here tomorrow. I'll pop in. I just got to go. Peyton's coming in. I got one or two things to do.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm going to cook that food. Come
Says, do you know Dr. Josh Heenan? I know of him. I don't know him.
We'll think of something to do tomorrow. I got a lot of things that I can talk to you about.
All right,
I'll
cool.
lecture for life.
All right.
What's your last question?
When do you know you have to get the inside of your elbow checked out? When it hurts too much. If you think there's something wrong, go see. Like, here's the thing. I think with guys don't want to go see the doctor because they know they're going to get shut down. For 4 to 6 weeks. So, I mean, that's the cost of it. But if you think something's wrong, you better go get it checked out than not. So go in there and get it checked out. At least they can tell you and look in the MRI if you really think something. Now you do have to know that you can't be a hypochondriac and think every time you throw that your arm is broken. You're going to be sore sometimes. But the better you are with your recovery routine, the quicker you're going to recover from that. So
also get several opinions. Like, don't think that... I think that helps you too. When you go in, you don't have to really... It's not really what they say. You need to go get more opinions and then put them all together and then go, okay, what does it look like they're all saying? That's a better way of doing it.
You want to answer that last one?
You should teach... I would like to, but I'm in a lawsuit, so I can't.
We got a Roll Tide over here. War Eagle.
He's rolled tied in you right
Yeah,
now.
another troll, man. I got all kinds of
Jeez.
trolls over here. Can towel throws stimulate long toss? It'd be times where I throw 5 or 6 pitches and the inside of my elbow starts to hurt a bit. Okay.
So falling into the fact that you probably already have an injury there, and that is due to overthrowing, or you're physically weak in the area, you're losing strength, or you have bad mechanics, or all three. Look at Marlo.
He's talking about the ABCA.
Is he coming? Cool.
Yeah, he's coming, and his brother too.
Cool.
Coming.
Do you plan on possibly having a camp in the Kansas City area? Yeah, we'd love to. I had one scheduled a long time ago. We didn't get enough guys, but I'll try to go back to it. I got a lot of connections there. I would love to do KC. You like Kansas City?
Yeah, cool place.
I love Kansas City. Go down to the plaza. Hey, Brent, still dealing with electric numbness, shock to all fingers. No doctors can give me a diagnosis. I tried the ARP wave and it worked, but only for a couple of days. So Francis is hypermobile, and he's getting the ulnar issue, like the numbness issue. Francis, I think with you, man, I know it is. You just have to get really, really, really strong. You're just so mobile. There's a lot of joint laxity in your body, and because of that, all those nerves are just sliding and moving, and then they start getting knocked around, and it starts tingling. Just like if I plucked my funny bone, it's the same thing. So, man, with you, I know it's tough for you, and your body probably isn't built to really get that tight and strong, but you're going to have to try to get as strong as you can all over to combat that.
The way I like to think about that too is like it's on a continuum, right? Like if you're like a guy who's like super strong and tight genetically, then you need to do a lot more mobility
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
And if you're on the
He's
other
the
end of the
opposite.
spectrum,
He's hypermobile.
and same thing goes for speed too. Like if you're a guy who is like a speed guy, you should be doing more like heavy strength stuff.
If you're a strength guy, you should be doing more speed, quick, explosive.
It's all on a continuum.
Yeah, he goes, yeah, man, all nerve tests came out good too. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you have a disease. You have a lot of laxity in your body, and your nerves are more exposed and they're getting knocked around more. Any more? He goes, to shut the arm down or not shut the arm down over the winter, or if so, how many months? Like we were saying, it's probably best I don't like anything you stop doing, you atrophy and you lose, right? So you stop lifting heavy weight, you lose strength, you lose mass. You stop throwing, you're going to lose the motor control. You're going to be all herky-jerky when you come back. So that's why I like our med ball approach, because you can keep it going, but you're not putting the torques on your arm. So I'd like you to keep the throwing going, but not the stress on the arm, and until you get your arm heals, and then you can slowly ramp it up again.
There's a good one up here. Is there any way to stay calm when pitching? That's a good one. Breathing is huge. Deep breaths when you're out there. Just stay in the moment and try to slow the game down. Like for me, like what would happen when I got nervous would be like everything started speeding up. Like I felt like the game was going 1,000 miles an hour. My heart rate's going. I feel like I can't slow anything down. So you just got to step off the mound and try to slow everything down. Breathe. Think about the moment and just work one pitch at a time. Don't worry about the situation that you're in, and understand that, even though if it's a critical situation in the game, that life is okay and everything's going to be fine when you get out of there. If you win or if you don't win, it's your body's natural way to protect you. It's sensing, like a threat.
Fear, it's fight or flight.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I found it where I would have games where I'd go in really calm, and I was like, oh, I'm nice and calm, and then I didn't stay as focused, and then I'd walk the bases, and then I'd get all amped up, and I'd strike everybody out. So it's like I always felt like you got to find a happy medium. You don't want to be too much anxiety, and you don't want to be too laid back. You really want to have a happy medium, and that's really probably where the zone is, where you are more focused, where you got a little fire going, but it's not too much.
Stay in the zone. Stay in the flow state.
And I think breathing's the key, like John was saying. Like, pay attention to your stomach. Try to get your breathing in your belly and get it out of your chest. When you push your breathing into your belly, that'll calm you down. But you want to modulate it at that point where it's not like you're so relaxed, but that helps.
What's more important to scouts, velocity or control? Velocity, but both are important. We're looking for good players. Scouts are looking for great
you're
players.
not looking for. That's the thing, is a lot of people are always trying to cheat the system. They're like, oh, it's velocity, I just need to throw hard. No, you need to be a good pitcher, and velocity is a part of that. So I think when people are starting to sit here and isolate things, you're just trying to cheat the system. You're going, well, is it one thing? I just wanted to do one thing that's just going to get me by. I just want to do enough, just one thing, just enough of one thing to get me by. That's not how you need to perceive this, guys. You got to be like, what does it take to be good? All right, I got to do all this. All right, I'm going to be the best at all this.
Yeah, very, very important. It's not, velocity, control, movement on your pitches, how to pitch, durability as far as the season, conditioning as far as a game, how long you can go. I mean, there's so much involved in it that you got to work on.
What to do when everything is going wrong when you're pitching? What do you do when everything's going wrong when you're pitching?
Same thing. You got to step off the mound, breathe, and get your composure back. You can't, once you get into the negative mindset and you're like, everything's going wrong right now, everything's going to continue to go wrong. Yeah, so you just got to be like, all right, next pitch. You can be out, if you got one out and bases loaded, you can be out of the inning in one pitch, so you just got to remember.
Yeah, I've heard that recently, and I like it. You're one pitch away from, say, the big leagues. You're one pitch away from success. I mean, great story with Aaron Barrett this year. Aaron Barrett trained with me some this offseason, and I stayed in touch with him through the season, and he's in Double-A, and he's trying to make his comeback after breaking his humerus. And he was, he didn't know if it was going to happen. I mean, it went all the way into the year sitting in Double-A, and he just kept plugging away. And all of a sudden they call him up, and so think about this. He was just hoping he could get a call up. He not only gets a call up, but like a month later, the guy's winning the World Series. So it's like,
crazy.
You got to understand, like, your career could change in 1 year.
That's crazy.
Which program do you suggest for an upperclassman pitcher? All of our programming, if that would be perfect, is at that age. I mean, if you're in the pitching stuff, getting into the camp would be ideal, or the 3X Extreme program is going to be ideal if you're a position player or any of the position player stuffs. But I don't think it is an upperclassman. I mean, the only ones going into the beginner's guide should be young kids. I think you really need to get into the programs if you're at that level right now. What are good drills to engage my lower half better on the mound? So we did a bunch. Why don't you talk about the ones we did last time? We did ones on the lower half, right?
Yeah. King of the Hill, we talked about, right? What were the other ones we talked about?
So go on John Madden's channel, You Go Pro Baseball, or You Go Pro on, is that how you look it up?
Yeah,
You Go Pro on YouTube. Search You Go Pro in Top Velocity. You'll see our videos. We did a lot of stuff on that.
Yeah.
I also have a free sign up, TopVelocity.net/100 miles per hour, if you want to check that out.
What's up, baseball club? I saw that one before.
No, I'm not going to answer the questions that start with a player with the letters T and B because I'm already in legal disputes. Can't do that, unfortunately. Everybody's trying to get me in trouble, John.
Do you have any workouts to improve my hitting? I mean, a lot of the stuff we were talking about earlier today, a lot of the stuff that you should be doing for hitting is very similar to pitching. The movements are very similar, and the way you create energy and transfer the energy is very similar. So a lot of the stuff we talk about for pitching, you could do for hitting as well.
And we're pretty excited. We just did videos for that. That's why we've been here, and those are going to be going out soon.
Yep. So stay tuned. What's up? Chasing Dreams 28.
Somebody just threw out a Tom Brady. Tom Brady.
There
I
you
can
go.
probably talk about Tom Brady.
I don't know.
Maybe
I
I
you can have 2 leagues after you. Watch out,
Tom
man.
Brady. There we go. I'll say Tom Brady all day.
Oh my God. Out of control.
Arm clicking, a problem. Arm clicking. So arm clicking, to me, arm clicking when your shoulder's clicking, I believe it's a little weakness in there, and it's not rotating on axis. You could have like one muscle's really tight, and it's causing it to rotate off axis. You're also your scap should be not functioning well and putting a little pressure on your shoulder. So if I'm hearing a lot of arm clicking, I want to get stronger in that joint specifically. So
When we going to Korea? Someone says.
you're going to Korea? You going to Korea?
I would like to. Well, I got the YouTube channel that's close. I think we're close to 20,000
Are you
subscribers
serious?
now. Yeah, in Korea.
Can you translate?
But then you do something with the Korean team too.
Yeah, I did.
They come over
We
here.
had the
or something?
NC Dinos here.
Nice. Yeah, so they're big into the baseball. They got some great players out there, great teams.
Yeah.
So big in baseball. I would love to go out there. There's actually a big YouTube channel out there, PDB I think it is, or PPB. I'm dyslexic, but it's one of those three letters. But they do a lot of cool
That's
baseball
South
stuff
Korea,
too.
right?
Don't go to the wrong one.
Let's see. What up, boys? What's up, man? Let's see what else we got. Why does my arm hurt every time? A lot of arm hurting. Why are we getting arm hurting? Because fall.
Lack of preparation.
Well, everybody's coming out of the fall right now, so it's like at the end of their fall season, the arms hurting. I'll tell you right, guys. If you're at the end of your fall season, your arms hurting. I'm really nervous for you going into the spring, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's not a good time to have your arm hurting, so we need to fix that. I would definitely get into some hardcore off-season training, biomechanical training, strength and conditioning that really, really focuses on these problems that you're having. Okay, so yeah, I don't like to hear arm pain in the fall, guys. I can accept it more at the end of the summer when you're playing 2 seasons in a row, but not before you're going into your new season or your new year.
Never a good thing to have your arm hurting.
What else we got? Getting a lot of arm hurts. He posted it again. It hurts so bad.
You're typing too much. That's why your arm hurts. You're over typing your comments. That's all the questions I got. You got one?
There we go again.
It's the same guy.
Switching to the JD. That's pretty funny, man. Does that mean his buddy's going with him?
What are the best drills for a collapsing back leg?
Guy in here right now, he put on the Velo Pro, and the Velo he was really going into that valgus position and collapsing. He put the Velo Pro on. Man, it really almost fixed it immediately. It was cool to see that. So, because the Velo Pro is like, it's holding you down really hard. So that leg's going to want to stay more stable because it's got more load on it. So the Velo Pro would work. Just any of the drills we do, starting, a lot of the internal rotation drills, but if you go in the lateral drills, just sitting in that position, in flexion in a good torsion, externally rotated position, and try to lift and drive out of that position. And just feel what it's like to hold stability in external rotation and drive and rotate out of that position.
Yeah, I do a drill called sit drives, where they're sitting down on a chair or something like that, and they're getting into that position. And then
I remember when you made that video, and everybody was like, "John's stealing your stuff."
Your stuff, you have it?
No, because I did. I had a torsion drill, but you called it differently. And instead of that, and everybody was like texting me like, "John Madden's stealing my stuff." I was like, "Oh, thank God, it's flattering." No, I didn't think you stole it. But why did you come up with it?
For that reason, just to feel the back leg and to drive out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were all trying to do the same thing. What's beeping? Oh, it's that camera. It's about to die. Or it did die. Doesn't make any sense.
What's a good drill to learn how to stay back when batting? For that, I mean, that's more of a timing thing for reading the pitcher, hitting the pitchers. Hitting is something different because you're going to be moving at different times, whether the pitch is fastball, changeup, whatever. So you got to be able to control your momentum. It's a little bit different than pitching because you can start whenever you want as a pitcher. As a hitter, you're feeding off of the pitcher. You know, your swing starts when that ball's coming in. So it's more of a timing aspect and trying to understand how to keep that weight back. It's not so much as a mechanical thing. It's just more of a timing thing, in my opinion.
All right, we're gonna end it. I got lawyers calling right now. I must have said something wrong.
All right, goodbye.
Then this guy goes, any camps in North Korea. It's getting bad. Let's shut it down.
All right, goodbye.
All right, guys. Thank y'all. We'll see you next time. Wait up.